Against the Ropes podcast.
Against the Ropes, number one.
Against the Ropes podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. AtR podcast, Gio Garcia here. Alongside Christian Mosqueda, another episode, another week, and still searching for a good decision in boxing, right, Chris? Still searching for it. Let's get right into it.
It was
You know what?
It was close, Gio. It was close. I know there's a lot of controversy. There was a lot of people that felt Loma won. There's a lot of people that felt that Devin won. You know, a lot of people also thought it could have been a draw, man. I got to ask you a simple question. Did the event live up to the promotion, in your opinion, Gio?
I thought it was a good event overall. I think we can go ahead and start with the main event since most of you guys are here already. I think it lived up to it. Even up to the controversy, we kind of knew it would be controversial, so not surprised there.
Yeah, no. Again, it was controversial. We knew it was going to be a close fight. We knew it was going to be a chess match. I have to say, Gio, when you think of chess matches, you think of the Mayweather, the Rigondeaux. Usually those kinds of fights put you to sleep. But this one, man, this one was entertaining. Both guys had their moments. I'm going to ask you, Gio, how did you score it? How did you see the fight?
Look, I'm just going to go to some comments real quick because you guys are starting off hot. Let's see. I'll put it up on the screen too so you guys can see it. 7-5 said Loma says Mad Dog H, not a robbery though, great close fight, but Loma should be undisputed. Our guy Clyde says I have the real and accurate card, 115, 113 Loma. And then he also mentions Spence and Bud is signed. We'll see about that. But it looks like it's real now. But yeah. And then look, I'm not even going to tell you my comments. I'm going to just go ahead and read the stuff that I saw and heard after the fight. Of course, you guys saw Shakur Stevenson there in the ring saying Loma should be undisputed. He won that fight. Loma won by 2 rounds, says Eddie Reynoso, Fernando Vargas, and Jorge Linares on ES News on that channel. He got all the reactions. Ryan Garcia says, this is what hurts boxing. I don't get it. Loma was landing the cleaner shots and finished strong. Oscar De La Hoya says, Loma won hands down. Whoever thinks Loma didn't win doesn't know shit about boxing. Let's see. Jeff Mayweather says, I think it was close enough for it to go either way. Our guy Trevor, Charles Zambrano trainer, says Loma won that fight. Boxing has to be better. And then Robert Garcia says, straight up, I think Loma got robbed, man. And then last one, probably the most telling one, promoter Bob Arum says, I'm a promoter, not a judge, but every neutral fan around me scored it one-sided for Loma, so they were stunned when they heard the scorecards.
Hey, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. I actually saw the fight again. Volume turned down. And I had it 7-5 for Devin Haney. I could also see it being a draw. I could also see it being 7-5 for Loma. I will say that the most dominant rounds, of course, were the 10th and 11th for Loma. And as Loma often does, he closed off in great fashion. That 12th round was probably was a little bit more evened out. I think that's the one that kind of gave Devin Haney the edge. We must remember, Gio, a lot of those early rounds, in my opinion, even though Loma fought well, he started off pretty well. He didn't have a slow start the way many people thought he would have. He had a slow start against Phil, but I think he started off well. He just got his rhythm going mid rounds. But yeah, I think a lot of the judges gave Devin Haney a lot of those early rounds, and that's why they saw him winning. But of course, 116, 112, that's ridiculous. That that scorecard should be thrown out. But yeah, a lot of I can see why a lot of people had Loma winning. Again, he did throw the most shots, landed more. I think just Devin Haney, took a lot of steam off of Loma with those body shots.
This is a good time for Chris's signal to go off, says B. Big Bro says, mute Chris, please. Clyde says, Moretti should never judge another fight again. And look, we can get straight into that. Look, I have the scorecard right here. I highlighted the rounds that Moretti did give Devin Haney. As you can see, he gave him the last 5 of 6. I mean, that guy was watching the Laker game. He was not watching the fight. He gave him the 10th round, which was one of the more, to me, the second most decisive round in this fight after the 11th. So, yeah, he clearly wasn't watching the fight. Maybe he wrote the scorecards on the wrong side. I don't know. Maybe Chris did too. I'm not sure. But, I mean, last week I said Loma probably wins 8-4, but they're not going to give him the fight. Live, I thought it was a clear Loma win. Watched it again the next day. I thought it was closer, but I still couldn't find enough rounds for Devin Haney. He just didn't throw enough, and we can get into the stats and all that. Loma landed the harder, cleaner punches. Haney looked in trouble in that 11th. That 10th was another clear round too, and as you can see, Moretti there, he ensured Haney wasn't going to lose by scoring that round for him. And then you see some of the other rounds there. A lot of the judges gave about 4 rounds in a row to Haney, which that didn't happen. I mean, most of the rounds were close, so I don't understand how they judge 4 rounds to one person. Either way, I don't think Loma won 4 in a row at any point. I don't think Haney won 4 in a row at any point. But 116, 112, like you said, and 115, 113 2 times. The second time I watched it, the first round to me could have gone either way. Loma did land the better punches, but of course, you gotta. When I judge it with a bias toward Haney because I know that's what the judges do. So I just say either way. It could have gone either way. Second and third, I gave it to Loma. The fourth was another one for me that could have gone either way. And then the next 3 I gave to Haney, 5, 6, and 7. The 8th to me was too close to call once again either way. And 9, 10, 11 for Loma. The 12th was a tough one to score. I know all the judges gave it to Haney, but Loma did outland him. He did land the better punches, so I think that one could have gone either way. If you're an unbiased fan, you give it to Loma, but like I said, politics, if it's a close one, you give it to Devin Haney, right? So to me, yeah, I would say 7-5 for Lomachenko. Worst case scenario, draw. He definitely didn't lose this fight, but hey, it's Vegas, so you guys saw the outrage and Teddy Atlas went in on Dave Moretti. He was very upset. I was just watching the podcast right now. He was about to have a heart attack, but yeah, it's Vegas. It's Vegas, and I know one of the things he's doing now is he's trying to get people to sign this petition to make one commission, right, a national commission, because he talks about all the politics and corruption, obviously, that goes on in this sport. Not necessarily pointing out this scorecard, but everything else that's been going on in the recent weeks, including Rollies with Tony Weeks gifting them that fight, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think it's a very close fight. But I think obviously, if someone had to pick a winner, I think hands down it would have to be Loma. And I'll show you guys the polls too. That poll that I posted got over 300 votes, and I think close to 80% thought Loma won. So, yeah, I don't think we're blind.
Yeah. For me, I would say like these are one of those fights that we've talked about it, like where you need 10 and 10 rounds. Because if you go based on 10 and 10, I think Loma would have gone the decision if the judges were to give 10 and 10 rounds. Because again, when it's close, the judges tend to favor the champion. The judges tend to favor the powers that be. Who's the fighter that's young, that still has 7-8 years in the boxing world, and obviously Loma's at 35. He's on his way out. But when it comes to these kinds of fights, I feel like they should have 10-10, rounds. And I think if it was like that, Loma would have gotten the decision. And it's unfortunate because you have to give one round to one of the fighters, and you give one of those close rounds to say Devin Haney, and then it's the same as that those two dominant rounds that Loma won, so kind of nullifies that. But it's an unfortunate that you get these kinds of decisions. Those 116, 112 scorecards. That scorecard really leaves a bad taste of mouth in the sports fans psyche. But I mean, I want to say let's appreciate that we had a great match. Always not the decision that a lot of the fans in attendance wanted, but I want to say that they were gifted a great fight, high IQ, great technique from both guys. They both had their moments. Devin Haney was showing that he does belong at this level at the beginning.
I strongly disagree.
It was a great fight.
I strongly disagree with that. I think we saw throughout the whole fight that Devin Haney didn't belong in there. I don't know why people are saying that Lomachenko started off slow. I think you guys got to go back and watch that fight again. I thought he won the first 2 out of 3. Clearly outlanded Devin Haney. So, I don't understand why people are saying he started off slow again. Maybe you got to watch it a third time, Chris, because I saw Devin Haney who was confused. He never figured out the left hand. Lomachenko threw it for 12 rounds. He doubled up, tripled up. Devin Haney had zero answer to it. He even asked his dad late in the fight about that left hand, and his dad didn't give him anything. I think really that's where that fight was won for Lomachenko, and that's how he became undisputed. It seemed like his corner was doing the right adjustments, and on the Devin Haney side, they had zero adjustments. Even Lomachenko in the post-fight press conference, he said it was an easy fight because he kept throwing the same punches over and over, the same combinations. And even Tim Bradley saw that and called it out early on in the fight, even though Andre Ward was very upset about it. But Timmy called it. He said, hey, this is trouble for Devin Haney because Lomachenko early on figured out that sequence, that rhythm, those patterns. And like I said, Timmy saw it early on. Judges obviously didn't see it, but it was high IQ boxing, but I was surprised that Devin Haney really showed zero defense in this fight and got clipped repeatedly by that left hand that scored all night. And in the 11th, he almost went down. I mean, Lomachenko couldn't miss with that left. So competitive rounds, but I think at the end, like I said, at the end of the day, there was one clear winner. Even though it was a very close fight. And I don't want to call it a robbery, but 116, 112, Dave Moretti made sure that the assignment was understood.
Yeah. So I would agree with you. I would call it a robbery deal. My next question would probably be, do you believe that they run it back? We know that Devin Haney has said that his time at 135 is over, that he's going to move up to 140. But based on how close this fight was, do you feel like a rematch would be warranted? And do you believe Devin Haney would take that rematch? Yes or no?
No, not at all. I don't think Bill Haney will allow him to. Because like I said, they went 12 rounds and they never figured it out. But let's go to some comments here. Why isn't his Wi-Fi cutting off now that it needs to? Yeah, Chris sounds like Andre Ward, huh? Loma won the 12, says Big Bro. Anthony landed more. Just because Haney didn't get dominated doesn't mean he won the round. Yeah, I think live it was a tough one to score. I think when I watched it again, I saw it as a Loma round. Haney was shook in the corner and talking to his dad late in the fight, says B. Big Bro says the first round was a 10-10 to me as well. Both landed only 6 punches, and Loma actually landed the cleaner punches in that round. Haney is food for Tank, Shakur, or any top guy at 140, says Mad Dog Age. I think that's clear as day. he clearly doesn't have the power. He was hurt by Lomachenko, a guy who's smaller at 135. So I think 140 is bad news. I think at any weight class against Tank, it's bad news for him. And then we'll go to the last one here, and then we'll continue. Gambling runs the sport, says B. You know, it was interesting, though. I was talking to my brother, too. Loma actually became the favorite in the early rounds. I think people kind of saw where the fight was going, and the odds switched quickly.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Loma didn't, win the second half of the fight. He completely, won the second half of the fight, Gio. I just think a lot of people in attendance and the judges specifically saw those 1-2s, the body shots. Haney was using just that his reach and, pretty much taking a Floyd Mayweather blueprint and 1-2s. Nothing crazy, no combinations, nothing. I think even Andre Ward said it, like he's not taking too many chances. He was just, in my opinion, just racking up rounds, early rounds. I
strongly disagree again.
If Loma would have fought that 12th round the way he did the 10th and 11th, easily would have gone that decision, and it would have been convincing in people's eyes. But I think, as Big Bro mentioned, that 12th round was a little bit more close. And it kind of reminds me of that Maidana Mayweather #1, where I thought Maidana was, getting that fight close, and I was like, he just needs that 12th, keep putting that pressure, but he gassed out at the end. I think I don't know if Loma said that he let off a little bit on the 12th, but he needed to do that to really stamp, that decision, and I think it would have gone his way if he would have fought that 12th the way he did the 10th and 11th.
Yeah, I strongly disagree. I just think you got to win the round, and he outpointed Devin Haney in that round. So, the horrible Moretti card is what makes it seems like a robbery, says Clyde, and then Big Bro mentions the rabbit punches. I saw about 6, 7. Devin Haney got about 3 warnings, but of course we kind of knew something like that was going to happen, right? No point was going to be deducted. Haney isn't the great defensive fighter that they had been saying he is. This fight proves it. Haney knows he's going to lose the second time, says B. And then Mad Dog says, if I ever see Moretti, is on site. Kind of like us with Alejandro Rochin, right? But, yeah, I think we saw what most of us knew about Haney, that he doesn't have power, that the defense is overrated, that he wasn't ready for a guy like Lomachenko, right? I think we saw it in this fight, but that's not going to be the narrative, obviously, because he walks away with his belt. So, yeah, I don't know. I think his next fight, take a little tune-up or something, fight George Kambosos for the 3rd time, but stay away from all the top dogs for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you, Joe, because I feel like you're being extra hard on Devin Haney. I understand that you probably didn't see him winning, but do you give him any credit at all? I mean, he wasn't just fighting just any little guy, I get it. You're the bigger guy. You have the most reach. You're the younger guy. But hey, this guy was fighting against one of the best little men to ever lace up.
I'm gonna quote Big Bro's comment here. Haney only did good body work, threw a lot of rabbit punches, and got hurt multiple times versus a much smaller guy without too much power. So yeah, the body work I think was exceptional. Obviously didn't bother Lomachenko because he was just walking through them, right? But those were scoring. And look, I am a big advocate of body punches. I love body work. For some reason, people never give credit to body punches, right? Just like when I mentioned Canelo and Golovkin 1 and 2, where Golovkin landed, I think, 5 and 8 punches, 5 in the first one, 8 in the second one. People didn't care about body punches, but now all of a sudden people want to score those body punches. So I think very consistent by people's judgment and scoring. I like the body work. I think it was effective to a certain extent. He was never able to hurt Lomachenko. And on the other hand, it seemed like Loma was content in trading, taking that hook to the body to land his left. And obviously that left was able to get to Haney. So, I think the body work, and I think you got to give Haney credit for weathering the storm. In the 10th and 11th, he didn't know what to do. He was confused, but he stuck with it. he made the 12th round competitive, and all the judges gave it to him. So you got to give him credit for that.
Yeah. I was going to say, I thought Devin was going to break down after that 11th, and I saw that onslaught. I thought he was going to succumb to the pressure. Again, it's very it's very frustrating when you don't know where you're at and you're getting hit by all kinds of angles, combinations coming from all over the place. I thought he was going to succumb to that, but I give him props for not folding, as they say. I want to bring up another point, Gio. I want to give a shout out to the ref. I thought he did a great job of, just not being a part of the controversy, part of the story. I think he did a great job of just letting the fighters fight it out. He broke the action when he needed it. There was, obviously, I know you said there was those rabbit punches, but other than that, I think the ref did a great job. What are your thoughts?
Other than the rabbit punches, he did a great job.
Do you think he did a good job or not? I mean, obviously, he did give Haney a warning, and I think it stopped after that. But what did you think of his work?
I think he gave him 3 warnings, and the rabbit punches didn't stop. But yeah, other than that, I don't think Loma allowed Haney to clinch, so there wasn't really anything else, in this fight besides the rabbit punches.
Hey, I know you saw your boy Max Kellerman out there. What do you think of him? I know they brought him back. He's been out of the ring for 5 years, as long as layoff of his career. Like, what came to mind when you saw your boy Max Kellerman out there?
Zero thoughts. I didn't even know he was there. But let's go to some comments because Chris is asking me about something unrelated to the fight. All right, let's see. Where did we? But I told you the next day, round by round, Loma clearly wins. Casuals think Haney won. Yeah, but even then, I don't see too many people actually saying Haney won. And when we can show the polls right now, I think most people are in unison saying that it was a Loma win. Even those casuals that you speak of, Clyde. Haney might as well go to 140 and go for that Rollies belt, says Big Bro. Smartest decision for him and his team. Yeah, that's probably a dub for him. Anatoly Lomachenko himself said they didn't want the rematch, says Fernandez. Our guy Jess checking in. I'm just glad 135 are willing to lose their yeah, it's about that time. And bigger fights are for sure going to come. I think Shakur is going to get a big fight. I'm not sure if Tank gets it because, his promoter over there doesn't allow him to take big fights. But that would be great if they did. I heard Loma say that he took the 12 off at the post-fight press conference because he thought he won that fight. Yeah, he stated that. He said he thought he controlled the whole fight, so he felt like he didn't even need the 12th round to win. And then we'll go into some of the post-fight quotes. I was able to watch the whole thing and write some stuff down from that press conference. Fernandez says, even if Moretti would have scored in favor of Loma, Haney would still win with the other 2 judges. That's how bad the judging was. That's how bad it was. Because even the 115, 113 for Haney, it's not terrible, but it's not good. Why you skip my comments? Oh, well, I can't read them all, Jesus. I'm only reading the good ones, or maybe I'm skipping them. What does business of boxing want for Haney? That's a good question. I think it's an easy one. I think it's for him to lose his belts because, he's not very marketable. I mean, he was fighting in his supposed hometown, right? He reps Vegas, and not one person was cheering for him. You heard the Loma chants. You heard the boos after when Haney was talking. I mean, he's just not very marketable. So I think you line him up with a guy like Shakur. They're both on top rank as of now. So you line him up with a guy like that, and Shakur takes the belt. And I think Shakur he's marketable. I mean, he's been through his controversies outside of the ring. But to me, I think he's the best fighter out there, best boxer. Obviously, he still has to show us that. I mean, he has a very good win against Valdez, but I think he needs another big win to solidify that. But, yeah, I think if if you're trying to market Haney, you got to market him as a villain, or just take his belt and give him to Shakur.
Yeah, no, for Haney, I mean, Haney and well, let me go back. Post celebration, that is very telling. You saw David Haney jump for joy as if he didn't believe he won this decision. And even though I do think he did enough, or barely enough, it was a close fight. But yeah, he didn't want no business with Shakur. Shakur was in the ring calling him out. I think people are well aware, how talented Shakur is, and so yeah, you're Devin Haney. I mean, the powers that be do. Oh, even though Devin Haney doesn't have the power, doesn't have the fan base. I mean, it's still money for the people that the promoters and all that for Devin Haney to fight the Tanks and the Shakurs. Loma's on his way out. Even though he did show that he still probably could do 3-4 more fights. That's something I was looking for. I was looking at for Loma to see where he's at. Is he going to age? Is he is he going to grow old overnight? He still has three or four more fights in boxing, in my opinion.
Haney won, says Fernandez. Loma himself said he gave away rounds. Unfortunately, he started pressing very late, just like when he fought Teofimo. And you see, once again, people got to watch the fight because, look, Lomachenko threw 564 punches. Devin Haney threw 405. And like I said, to me, he won out of the first 3-4 rounds. He probably won 2 to 3 rounds, Lomachenko. So again, I don't know where this narrative comes from. I don't know if you guys are watching ESPN score the fight because, yeah, Max. You mentioned Max Kellerman, but I think he was one of the ones who was scoring it. I think he was giving a lot of the rounds the opposite way. When Loma was winning those early rounds, he was giving them to Haney. And then when Haney started winning 5, 6, 7 rounds, 7th, 8th round, he started giving them to Loma. So I don't know if it's that or the commentary, but I don't know where this narrative comes from that Loma started late.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't think he started slow, but I don't think he started winning rounds. He probably squeezed 2 out of those 6 rounds, in my opinion. When you compare it to the Teofimo fight, he did start that one slow because he wasn't throwing anything. He was gun shy. For this one, he was throwing punches. I just feel like he didn't get into a rhythm until maybe the mid rounds. And like I said, I gave him 2 rounds out of 6. I know you gave him 3. I can see you giving him three rounds out of the first 6. They were that close, but I wouldn't say he started slow. But he just got into a rhythm, midway through the fight, and that's when he really won. Those easy to score rounds for Loma.
Yeah, and check it out. Quoting that or referencing that Teofimo fight, I was looking at the scorecards recently, and no judge gave him a round until the 8th. So I don't know what Loma has to do because most of those rounds were close because both men weren't really landing. So I don't know if he has to dominate every round for judges to score for him. I don't know, but what I do know is that one of the big topics in this fight was the Devin Haney jab. Non-existent in this fight. He only landed 20. Lomachenko landed 29. So, everything that Haney does well on offense, Loma neutralized it, except for the body work, like I said. And I don't think Loma is not smart enough to not have that adjusted to that. I think he wasn't bothered by that and was content walking through those punches. Obviously, they were scoring, but like Big Bro says, Al Bernstein tweeted, let me see, something about people not. Al Bernstein said on Twitter, most guys don't seem to give credit for body punches, but somehow Haney got all the credit for this fight, like I said earlier. I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? But it is what it is. Very close fight. Like Teddy Atlas even mentioned on his show, if this fight happens 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, I think there would have been one clear winner. So I think this was the right time for Team Haney to take this fight, or Loma who's older. Honestly, I probably think he should retire or go down to 130. Because it's the same thing. Look, I feel like all those three losses were controversial. The Salido, the Tofimo, now this one, and it just doesn't seem like obviously he's gonna get that credit or, I can see him, guy like let's say against Shakur or a big name, another competitive fight, but they're not gonna score for him. He's on his way out. So yeah, either I probably try to take a big fight against like Navarrete or something, or the winner of that Navarrete Valdez fight, or call it a day.
Yeah, for me, and I think Loma said this in the on Top Rank's version of All Access. He said that he does feel more comfortable, at the lower weight divisions, but him going back down is like him showing fear or him being weak. So there's some pride that Loma is experiencing and why he's staying up in those upper divisions. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I would love to see him at 130, especially at 35 years of age. He's already given the boxing fans all kinds of fight. He's fought everybody, and he's busted something that only guys like Canelo have done. They go up divisions and they fight the bigger guys, and they're so great that they're still in it. But again, it doesn't. They have to think about their future, their bodies, their families. You could get hurt if you get caught with one big shot from a bigger guy. So having said that, I mean, I would, obviously you saw the love that Loma got in that arena, an arena that's not even his hometown. He's alongside Triple G. He's one of those, Eastern Europeans that are just loved the world over. So I would love to see him back at 130 and fight guys like the ones you just mentioned, and hey, maybe even in a way as he gets bigger. But yeah, it's a tough ask for him to be fighting these guys. You saw that size difference, and even though he does have the skill set to offset that disparity, I think he's done enough, especially at 35.
Let's go to some quotes from that press conference. Lomachenko's manager says, we protested when we saw Dave Moretti was going to be the judge, and the commission just told us he's one of our best judges. Right? So they didn't want him as judge. They actually asked Bob Arum something similar to that. Let me see. I wrote it down here. Bob Arum, when they asked him about the judges and if he thought that there should be a new wave of judges because some of the same guys judge these same fights. I mean, 2 out of the 3 judged the Ryan Garcia and Tank fight, not too long ago. So it's the same guys who are in the mix. It seems like. Let me try to find that Bob Arum quote here. I think he was holding back. Obviously, he's still in business with Devin Haney, so he can't say too much. But Bob said, generally, when one side objects to a judge, the commission will appoint a different judge. So in this case, if Loma's team said, hey, we don't want him, then they appoint a different one. I think he said, I think it's strange that the commission didn't want to. In this case, they had an American fighting a Ukrainian, and all of the officials are American.
Yeah.
So yeah, they it seemed like they knew from the beginning, Team Loma, that they didn't want this guy there, and Dave Moretti's known for that. He's one of the most experienced judges, and if there's anything that looks fishy, he's probably involved when it comes to Nevada.
Yeah, for me, I know that these fights are in Vegas. They're in the U.S. You're obviously going to have a predominantly American judges, but when it comes to a fight of this caliber, for all the belts with 2 of the very best, you got a guy from Eastern Europe, from Ukraine. I feel like they should add at least one judge that is not American. Let it be a Mexican judge, let it be a European judge, let it be a South American judge, whatever. But I think in these kinds of fights, you cannot have all 3 judges, be the same nationality as one of the fighters. Mix it up a little bit. But yeah, it's unfortunate, and yeah, it's nothing new, right? It's something that we see in boxing. It hasn't gone away, and it's still going to be there. That's unfortunate.
Loma also stated in the post-fight press conference, I don't know if this was a question or why he said it, but he said Teofimo Lopez and Jorge Linares are better than Devin Haney. And he said something similar at the end there in the post-fight post-fight interview. He said, Haney is not a top pound for pound fighter yet. So Loma he sounded very confident in the post fight press conference. He sounded like he thought he was dominating the fight. We obviously knew Haney didn't have any power, but I just it seemed like Loma didn't feel like he had too many difficulties in this fight.
Yeah, I would say everybody knows that, Haney doesn't have the power, but, you think of guys like Mayweather, they didn't have the power, but they had enough pop to keep guys honest. I think Devin Haney did that up until the mid round until Loma just said, frick it. He went straight in, went into the kitchen sink and started wailing on Devin Haney. But, yeah, man, I personally would love to see a running back, and I hope people get on Instagram, on social media, and let Haney know, let him know, you guys think he lost the fight. That way he has to do what Mayweather did and run it back. Mayweather had to run it back with Maidana, with Jose Luis Castillo. And I think even Shakur said, hey, this is going to be a cloud over you if you don't rematch it, because fans will not let you forget this. So I personally would love to see it, again, 3 to 4 months from now, because it's, again, a lot of people do think that Loma won. And, Devin Haney didn't look exceptionally well. He did look good in the beginning, but faded at the end. And, that 12th round kind of salvaged them a little bit. But, I would love to see that rematch. And hopefully Devin Haney has some pride that kicks in and gives Loma that rematch.
So this is my only question to you, because you've said it many times already. How did Devin Haney look good in the beginning of the fight?
Again, it's simple. Body shots, 1-2s, get that distance. Loma did land some shots, but, it was, to me, it was slight. Some of those rounds were close. It could have gone either way, but I slightly favored Devin Haney. It's a lot of those early rounds that people forget, because, you're, like you said it before, you're a prisoner of the moment. And most people really only remember the championship rounds, the second half of the fight, which Loma looked exceptionally well. But, hey, when you're Devin Haney, you put a bunch of rounds in the bag, rounds, 2, 3, 4, whatever they were, those count just as much as the championship rounds.
Yeah, I think Chris was scoring the shots that Haney blocked with his face in this fight. Yeah, I think you guys gotta just go watch it again. I think you'll see a different fight. But to go to some comments here, Haney didn't have any pop. FOH says B. Absolutely none. Loma was walking through everything at one point, looked like the bigger, stronger fighter. He was pushing Haney back. He even dropped him, I think, once where Haney tried to wrestle him, and both men went down. It looked like Loma kind of tossed him. Haney didn't keep any distance whatsoever. I agree with that comment, B. Loma was within distance every single time, and Timmy pointed that out like 25 times. So I don't understand where this distance comment comes from. But hey, I guess we all see things differently. Most of the rounds Loma won. He won convincingly. Most of the rounds Haney won. It was either way, says Clyde. 100%. 100%. I think that's why this makes it so tough to score. And that's why it kind of sucks that, the quote-unquote A side is going to get the rounds in those cases. Chris had on the Moretti glasses, says Man Dog H. Chris must have been talking about Haney versus Camboso, says Brian.
Hey, like I said,
oh, man.
Either way, I'm just not one of those people that thinks that there was a robbery or that,
Hey, Chris has that Devin Haney defense right now, just blocking all the punches with his face.
Could have gone either way. Honestly, I don't know if you saw Gio after the fight, like
Chris Ray headbutting the gloves right now.
The commentators stay like an extra 10, 15 minutes just debating. Honestly, that just shows you how close the fight was in a lot of people's minds. Again, I understand why people think Loma won. Like, again, that's why they advertised this as a chess match. It was to a lot of people's minds, it was that close.
No, for sure, it was a close fight. But I think, like we stated last week, I think we expected something like this to happen. And it just sucks for Loma, right? It sucks for Loma.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
I mean, what can he do about it? He had a chance to go into the history books. Still going to go down as a Hall of Famer, but
Yeah.
I think this, Clyde, when I made the comment about the 3 controversial losses now, he says that the first 2 he for sure thought Loma lost. But yeah, I think this one, it's very hard to say the opposite. Let's just say he didn't win. I mean, draw, worst case scenario. But this is how boxing is. And that's why so many people are upset at it, and going to watch other martial arts and stuff like that. I'm just glad I didn't have to pay like $90 for it, right? It was 60 or whatever, 60, 65. Nothing crazy. The undercard was great. We're going to get into that as well. But yeah, I mean, Chris is making me think I can rob him of his money and tell him the money could be mine or his. It's close, and he'd accept it. It's pretty much what he's saying.
Yeah, but no, again, this is a close match. Again, I would love to see if Loma had more moments like the 10th and 11th. Again, he would have swept those rounds. But again, I know people say he started slow. It's not like he started slow.
Chris, let me stop you there because I'm gonna hold you accountable to these comments. Did Devin Haney had any of those moments in this fight, like the 10th or the 11th? Because you keep saying Loma needs to have these moments to win. He needed that round. Did Devin Haney have any of these moments at all at any point in this fight?
No, like they said in the comments, the more dominant rounds were won by Loma. But of course, we know.
Chris, it's a simple yes or no.
No.
Okay.
But he did enough.
We'll leave
He
it
did
at
enough
that.
to just win the rounds in certain instances. Again, Loma was more dominant, more decisive in the rounds that he won, for sure.
Well, Chris, guess what? Loma outlanded Haney in the 12, so I don't know why you keep saying that he needed to do more to win that round. I don't understand.
Convincingly, he had 3 American judges, Gio. We just talked about this.
We're not American judges, Chris.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
No, but I understand why you say that, because there's 2 different fights. Like I think you said it recently. There's one fight that we see, and then one fight that we know they see, right? They being the people in charge. So I'm just talking about from our point of view. That's all, because their point of view is always going to be whatever they want it to be, whatever the script says. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably watch it again at some point. I think it was great boxing. I was surprised. I don't know if Loma still has it like that, or it was just the fact that Devin Haney wasn't ready for it. But I'm sure I'm gonna watch it again because it was great boxing. It was Loma still showed the angles, the speed. I don't think obviously before the fight we knew that Devin Haney was gonna have the speed advantage, but I think Loma's timing kind of neutralized the jab, and really his only resource was that shot to the body, because he didn't really show anything else. And on the other hand, I would have liked to see Loma go to the body a little more, because it seemed like when he was going to the body, he was bothering Haney a little bit. That 11th round specifically, I remember he went down to the body. Haney kind of crouched over, and Loma was able to land some shots upstairs directly after that. So I would have liked to see more body work by Loma, but yeah, I think it was a very good fight, more entertaining than I thought it would be. When I heard 116, 112, I'm like, oh, I guess they're going to give it to Loma, because there's one guy who I don't agree with 116 either way, but I'm like, if there's any guy who they would give a 116 to based on the fight, it would have to be him, right? But yeah, I think that one was shocking, but draw 7-5 either way, I can see it. Not mad at it, but yeah, I still thought he won the fight. Along with, let me see how many people. I'm going to go ahead and read the results of the poll. That was posted 2 days ago, actually. 327 votes, Chris. 327 votes. 75% thought that Lomachenko won. That's a lot of people. Let's see how many people that is. 327 times 0.75. 245 people thought Lomachenko won. Out of the 327, 15% thought Haney won, and 10% saw it as a draw. That's telling, Chris. It's telling. I'm surprised that many people agree with the result. Like I said, because it was a close fight.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a close fight. A lot of people favored Loma because of what he did in the 10th and 11th. He really, like I said, he really had Devin Haney hurt. He had Devin, having to clinch in moments. Like you mentioned, you give respect to Devin for weathering that storm and, not folding. Like I said, I thought he was going to fold. I thought fatigue was kicking in. I thought he was mentally, getting drained. And I thought Loma was going to, drop him at some point. But that's the type of fight you get when you get two guys that are just their high boxing IQ, and yeah, man, I want to see it again. I do want to see it again.
Chris answers like a politician. He says, Clyde says, Loma would have dropped Haney in the 12th and still gotten a 10-10 by Moretti, says Big Bro.
And back to those body punches, Gio. I know that you said that Loma was walking through, but I agree that he was walking forward. But I disagree. I don't think it came without a price. He is 35. That one kind of reminds me of the Canelo Triple G fight. The second one where I was hoping Triple G would land more body shots on Canelo, but it was a younger man, and Canelo landing more of those shots. You just know as a younger guy, you land those punches, and then the older guy usually doesn't want to, overreach, or you don't want to, hit the younger guy to the body because he's going to retaliate. So, in my opinion, I think it was a game plan on Loma to not throw as much because he didn't want, too much more like body punches coming back. But that's just my opinion.
Big Bro says the 11th should have been 10-8. It was 20 punches to 2 landed in favor of Loma. That one was very dominant. Even Moretti couldn't give it to Haney. That's how dominant it was. 20 punches to 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's when you see somebody hurt. Some judges would give that a 10-8 round. As you saw, they didn't do it this in this fight, but yeah, there you go. You see the bias in the judges.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we move on to that undercard? That was very good.
Final thoughts. This is the best pure boxing match I've seen in a long time. I really can't think of another one that had two guys with very good boxing skills fight it off. Like I said, you think of boxing purists, you think of Rigondeaux, you think of Mayweather, too dominant and sometimes very boring. And so this was fairly even because of obviously the size advantage, reach advantage for Haney, and it kind of evened things out. So it was a highly enjoyable fight for me to watch.
Yeah, and then reading some last comments here, Al Bernstein says, last night I watched Haney Lomachenko for enjoyment. Today I rewatched it with sound off to score. I scored at a draw. Could have been 115, 113 for either man. I think he meant more likely Loma. Only two of the official cards or the official scorecards were plausible. 116, 112 for Haney is absurd. And then someone actually mentioned that Canelo Triple G fight. Looks like Haney Loma is bound to be remembered like Triple G Canelo 1. Ultimately, in Vegas boxing, the house pretty much always wins. And Loma just isn't marketable enough, especially at this point. Haney is no Canelo, though. Those belts are going to the highest bidder of Tank / Shakur. So let's get into that. Because you guys see that picture of Shakur staring down Haney and claiming that they were afraid because they left the ring right after. Shakur, who thought, there you have it, who thought Loma won. How does Haney do against Shakur? 1 and 2, Tank Davis, who it seems like are the best fighters, around that 135-pound division.
In my opinion, he falls short. I was impressed with Devin Haney's skill set. against a master boxer like Loma. But man, hey, I'm one of the ones that saw that. He left the ring. You know, if you want that fight, that's your ring, that's your night. You tell him, hey, go kick rocks. This is my night. But he's the one that left the ring, and someone said it best. If Tank lands the same punches that Loma lands, it's gonna be night. So I think David Haney is a good fighter. I just think he falls short against these two.
I 100% agree. Oh man, what else? I was gonna say something else. I also didn't even see Devin Haney raise his hand after the fight. He walked straight back to his corner, didn't raise his hand. I'm not gonna say he looked surprised when they announced his name, but he was obviously ecstatic, right?
Yeah.
I think that says a lot too. I don't think they were confident at all. I think fans were very upset. Someone even threw a Bud Light bottle at Papa Haney. Because you never condone that, man. You never want to. It's not their fault. They're not the judges. You know, they went in there and fought, and the judges did what they did. So I think they were foul for throwing that bottle.
I think he even said it like, I don't know who threw that bottle, but y'all gonna get it. That was comedy. Yeah, no, I'm gonna say it. I think he actually did look surprised that he won. I think he obviously knew that those 2 rounds he survived. So he reminds me when Andre Ward won against Kovalev #1. He was surprised that he was gifted that decision.
Yeah, and I know Ward was very upset at the end and frustrated because he's saying, I lived through this. Like when people say you robbed the fight and this and that, but Ward is always complaining, so who cares? Haney's trying to market himself as a pound for pound #1, Jesus says. And I stated it last week. He's not the most entertaining. He doesn't have the best resume. So it's very hard to market someone like that, especially after this. If he gets a clean win against Lomachenko, now that helps his case. He won a very close one, so I'm sure a lot of people won't give him credit for it. Just like they didn't give Timmy credit for the Pacquiao win or Ward credit for that Kovalev win. And Timmy touched on that as well. He said Haney he's gonna go through a lot, a lot of criticism, a lot of mental stuff, that he had to go through when he supposedly beat Manny Pacquiao the first time. But to continue to some comments here, B says Haney cheered like he wasn't expecting it. And he also says Bottle hit the dad harder than Haney hit Loma. Hey, that it left a little mark on his forehead there. So whoever tossed it must have been a pitcher or something, baseball pitcher. That was accurate. He deserved it after saying the fight wasn't close and didn't warrant a rematch. Yeah, he's delusional. He's they were disrespectful in the build up and try to be all respectful at the end, but a class act is always a class act. And Jesus mentions Raymond Murataya, so we'll talk about that in a little bit as we move on to the last comments here on Haney, Loma, and of course what's going to happen next in that division. Chris, you got anything? I know Cambosos wants Loma in Australia. That's a big fight, but that's barbecue chicken for Loma. That's a W. That's an easy dub.
It should be an easy dub, but hey, these guys are big. Gio, forget that these guys are 2 weight divisions above Loma.
Well, Cambosos he isn't that big, and he's not a power puncher. So, if I thought the Haney fight was winnable, oh man, this one, like I said, barbecue chicken.
Chicken. Hey, that's a good win to get under your belt. If I'm Loma, yeah, I go take that, go get that dub down in Australia. Easy money. Get a good little win under your belt and then come back. Or even beat him even like worse than Haney and call him back. But yeah, I would take that. Down under, heck yeah.
Yeah, I do want to point out the Jorge Linares comment because he was very upset there when Eli caught him. He was telling him in Spanish first and then he told him in English, like, hey, I think I lost my wallet. I think they robbed me because I heard they're robbing out here. He's like, check your wallet. I think they're robbing people out here. He was just very upset, and he just didn't understand how Loma lost the fight. But I think that was just a general consensus, especially in that arena. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to add. Like I
Final
said,
question, Gio.
I'm gonna watch it again. What's up?
Yeah. Final question: does Loma get another crack at undisputed? Yes or no?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he stated that this is his last chance. So, I think that says a lot about his future. Um, at 135, I don't think so.
Yeah. I think also, you never know if David Haney's gonna make it, and then boom, all those belts get spread like the Dragon Balls, man. Never to see them together again.
Yeah.
Takes a lot. But yeah, man. Hopefully, I want to see Loma 3 or 4 more fights because whether he fights for those belts or not, he's still top tier, man. He still showed that he's got a lot in him, and I think the war in Ukraine, I think he said it kind of reinvigorated him. So hey, there's still lots in Lomachenko's tank. No pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, look, he threw about 150 more punches than Devin Haney, than the younger guy who was supposed to be in his prime. So that's telling. That says a lot. He wanted this fight. He was the aggressor. He went out to get it, especially there at the end. But who knows what would have happened if he would have won? Probably a Shakur fight. But yeah, I guess we'll never know. But that's that. I mean, great main event, fun fight. Like I said, I'll probably watch it again, and I don't watch many fights, 3, 4, or 5 times. I have watched the Canelo Triple G ones plenty of times. The Fury against Wilder fights, those are always fun to watch Wilder get knocked out. But yeah, this one I'm gonna watch again. But I think it was a great main event for a great card overall. A lot of guys have definitely name dropped Raymond Murataya several times. Raymond, who made a big statement in this fight. I mean, huge, I would say. 2 rounds Nakatila lasted. Just 2 rounds. A guy who was coming off that huge Miguel Berchelt stoppage. He went 12 rounds with Shakur Stevenson. And Raymond Murataya, man, he figured him out early, hurt him, put him away. Good stoppage, in my opinion, even though referee could have let him continue, but he was eating all those shots. I think that was the best for him. Obviously as a competitor, I'm sure he wanted to continue, but he ate about 5, 6 shots, and he was wobbled right before that sequence. So can't be too upset at that stoppage, but great performance by Murataya. 2 rounds.
Yeah, for me, it was an exceptional, coming out party. I was one of the few that said, hey, this is a dangerous fight. He's got a guy he's got a true power puncher in front of him. We saw what his opponent did to Berchelt. Us knowing the Murataya brothers and knowing Raymond, like personally, I'll be honest, I was a little nervous, So to see that, what he did, man, impressive. 2 rounds, even more impressive. The way he just jumped in and finished him off, gave him no chance. And again, it just shows you that, Raymond does do all the talking in that ring. He doesn't really have a huge social media presence, or he doesn't post or do any of that stuff. He does it all in the ring. So, man, huge shout out, because I mean, we already knew that he had the goods, but like I said, I thought this was gonna be a tough fight, and he made it look easy.
5 minutes. That's all it took. 5 minutes, and yeah, he looked very good, very solid. I think the commentating crew saw it early on. Timmy, Ward, they both, gave him a lot of credit, and Ray found openings early in that fight, and he took advantage of them. And you kind of saw the skill disparity there. They were describing it, Nakatila, or straightforward, a boxer who needs his opponent to stand in front of him to do some real damage. And of course, Ray didn't do that. He moved around, found some openings, and the first big punch that he landed hurt Nakatila, and and that was all she wrote. And now, big statement for him during the fight and after the fight. He said he wanted the winner of the main event, and I know a lot of people are going to start rating him up there, top 4, top 5, top 6 at 135. Whatever they rate him, man, he's got to be up there, and I want to see him in another big fight because this was a dangerous opponent. This was a big fight, and he passed the test with flying colors. Barely even got hit in this fight. I don't even know if he got hit at all. So, I mean, big shout out to Ray. They know what they got over there. You know, his dad has been doing a great job training him, and with the help there of Robert Garcia. So, yeah, very exciting to see what's next. And they're going to continue to put him in big cars because he continues to stop these guys, Chris.
Yeah. And again, we know the lightweight division. We know the big names. Everybody in the boxing world know who the, the top lightweights are. And for Raymond to be, kind of the quiet outside guy looking in and finally kind of breaking in, he's been working on his whole life. His family, they're, have a gym out in their house. They've been doing it since they were kids. And for them to again being on the outside looking in and then, finally having this kind of performance on Top Break on ESPN. And Ryan Garcia said it, watch out for that guy. He's a beast. And people are finally seeing it now. So again, shout out to Ray Morataya. We'll probably have him on next week, Gio. But great performance, man. Hey, I was nervous. I'm sure like his whole team wasn't as nervous as I was, but man, he did it against a great power puncher and his opponent. And so yeah, man, bigger things for Morataya.
Jesus is not a great card. He wasn't impressed. But he does say Raymond versus Cambosos to get more exposure in Australia. That would be great. That would be great for him. And then he also says a step up like Pitbull Cruz or Cambosos, those guys outside of the top 5, says Big Bro. He's ready. He's ready for I think for all those guys, honestly. I was trying to picture him against Haney. If Haney gets punched like that, he's gonna go Steph Curry celebration. He's gonna go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Big Bro, man. He's putting on his manager hat. I think Raymond has arrived, and this is where you kind of match him carefully. If you try to stay up here.
You will agree with anyone who says Pitbull Cruz, Chris. That name just triggers that. Just your eyes get wider when you hear that name.
And that was a good fight. I think Raymond takes him, based on just skill. But that's a tough fight. You got a little power puncher and Pitbull Cruz, man. I call him the Vegeta of boxing. So hey, you gotta be careful with that little guy. But I think Raymond has more than enough to handle him. But yeah, he's here. He's in the lightweight division. Like you said, he's ranked top 5 now in many boxing circles. So I would love to see Cambosos down under. Build his fan base a little bit more.
Raymond is ready for Shakur, says Jesus. And Big Bro says Cruz is food for Raymond. Did he compare Pitbull to Vegeta? I didn't even hear it. Half the time I don't listen to Chris, I'll be honest. But I would have just muted him. I'm not going to lie. He's more like a Krillin to me.
Like a Krillin.
Just kidding.
Disrespect.
No. Pitbull has a lot more power than Krillin. But, yeah. Once again, big congratulations to Raymond Murataya. Continues to make noise. I think he's 18-0 now, 15 KOs, I believe. I mean, looking great, and such a humble fighter and humble team too. So very happy for them, and yeah, I think from now on, 2023 is big fights for them.
Yeah, you've arrived, matchmake. Call the big names. Hey, this is what they worked their whole life, man. And those bags are coming, man. Just keep on winning.
Don't insult Vegeta like that, SMH. Chris is a Yamcha of Dragon Ball Z. Oh, man.
Come on.
Chris taking shots out here like Devin Haney all night. Dave Moretti out there, somewhere out there has him up 10-2. But yeah, look. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say right there, Big Bro said Raymond versus Camarón Cepeda. That's a good match. That's a contrasting style right there. You know, you're a
Damn,
boxer versus
you
your
guys are putting them up
puncher. So
against the heavy hitters, huh? The power punchers.
ya lo quieren meter con los Leones, man. And that boy make some money first. But I can see him taking Camarón Cepeda. Not an easy fight though, for sure. But he could take him.
Yeah, for sure. And then let's talk about another fighter who also looked very good in this undercard. Uh, you guys, probably the knockout of the year, Chris. Junto Nakatani against the Maloney brother. Massively overrated, in my opinion, the Maloney twins. I'm not going to lie. One got demolished by Inoue, and then the other one got beat by our guy, Professor Franco. I think they're massively overrated, but I got to give him credit. You know, his corner didn't want to let him continue Maloney in that last round. They were pretty much telling him, hey, go for it. He did, and he got knocked out in the last 15 seconds. Crazy knockout by Nakatani. But, man, I mean, Jesus wasn't impressed by this card. But let me tell you, we saw a lot of great talent there. And Nakatani with that overhand left put that guy to sleep. It was crazy. Look at that. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it all fight. Like Donnie was landing those uppercuts, those lefts, those rights. He was just landing, everything at will. And, I agree. I think the Maloneys are a little overrated, but hey, they do have a whole country behind them. So I mean, they're gonna get put on those cards. I mean, they are warriors, man. They come to fight. So you gotta give them props for that. But yeah, it was the Nakatani. You just saw after the Maloney brothers just he was just getting taken out. And again, that knockout, I know I've seen it before, and I kind of give that award away, knockout of the year, but this one feels like it. But hey, there's still 6 months left. Anything could happen in boxing, but this one definitely is a finalist already.
Yeah, for sure feels like it. I know people were talking about it as such. Huge. I mean, last 15 seconds, one punch knockout. It was pretty scary because Maloney stayed down for a while. But yeah, that one's gonna be up there for sure. So keep that in your heads. I know it's barely May, but man, if we get a better knockout than that knockout, whichever one it is, gonna be crazy. But yeah, let's move on real quick to Valdez and Lopez. Oscar Valdez making his comeback. He hadn't fought since that Shakur loss in April of last year. And then, of course, he had fought Adam Blue Nose Lopez previously. Was able to win that fight, possibly an early stoppage. I know Adam was able to knock Valdez down, and then Valdez came back, was able to hurt Blue Nose, and then the referee stepped in and stopped that fight, perhaps a little early. So, they had to get it on again. That fight, let's see, when was that fight?
Like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I wrote it down somewhere here, but yeah, I mean, in this fight, like Big Bro was saying, they were trying to hype up that Navarrete fight, right? Oscar Valdez. I don't think that fight needs any hyping. I know what type of fight we're gonna get. So yeah, I think they were trying a little too hard, the commentary crew. Valdez to me didn't look exceptionally great. He looked good.
Yeah.
But, big ups to Adam Lopez. It looked like he got his nose broken there at the end. There was a headbutt followed by a punch. Both men kind of stopped, and then, Valdez kind of hopped on him. But, yeah, you saw the blood leaking from the nose of Lopez, but he continued. He bit down and finished the fight. He also got a new trainer, a new corner there. But, yeah, it was Valdez all night. Like I said, I don't think he looked great. I think they were hyping him up a little bit too much, but I am excited for that Navarrete fight.
Yeah. But real, I think this fight was a bit of a dud, man. Like you said, Valdez didn't look exceptional. Obviously he was a class better than Blue Nose. I feel like that first fight, Blue Nose was, extra motivated. It came in as a replacement. Obviously, all that history between, their families. So he was highly motivated. Valdez, I don't want to say he overlooked them, but again, as one of the last minute replacements, he didn't really prepare for him. So that first match was a lot more exciting. So this one, even though it served as a nice, filler for the card, it was a bit of a dud in my opinion. But again, we know what's coming. Oscar Valdez versus Navarrete. If they're able to put that together, we know that's going to be a great fight styles wise. But yeah, I think Oscar Valdez has a little bit of his shine has fallen off since that Shakur defeat.
Yeah, and that fight was in 2019, the first time they fought. So, yeah, we'll see. Who just off the top, I haven't given it much thought, but who would you favor in that fight of Valdez and Navarrete? Obviously, we know both guys are there to get hit. Who's going to take the other's punch better?
Yeah, I think it's fairly close. Obviously, Valdez has tasted defeat. Navarrete, I think he's smaller coming up, or he's naturally the smaller fighter coming up. But man, it's tough. I would probably favor Navarrete just because of that reach. I would probably favor that. But again, you can't discount Oscar Valdez. Outside of Shakur, he elevates his game for any opponent. When that opponent is at their level. I don't want to call him the Mexico of boxing, but yeah, I think it's going to be very competitive as we get closer. But when it happens, I'll give you a more definitive prediction. But as of right now, I think that reach of Navarrete, man, and that undefeated streak, man, he's got that mentality.
Were you reading the comments, Chris?
Oh no,
because I was up in the air, but I think these guys just convinced me. Big Bro says Valdez is food for Navarrete, and then B says Navarrete is gonna beat him like Shakur did. Look, my concerns on the Navarrete side is he's not the most responsible defensively. He's always there to get hit. Valdez can crack. And like you said, he's naturally smaller. He fights at a smaller weight class. But yeah, the volume, the angles, I could see him having a lot of success against Valdez, and he can crack too. I can see this being a war and probably getting a rematch going too. I don't know, man. I'm going to say 50-50 at the moment. I like Navarrete a little more than Valdez. So I'll probably lean toward Navarrete, but to me, it's a close one.
Yeah, I agree. It's 55-45. Yeah, it's that close, but
you got Eddie, man. You got Eddie on that side. Who it seems like Ryan didn't go back to them, right? What do you think about that? Not to move on so quickly from Navarrete and Valdez, but Ryan Garcia, to me, surprisingly, choosing Derek James. It shouldn't be a surprise because I think he's probably top 3 coaches in the game. But, yeah, he doesn't play around. Ryan's going to have to be very disciplined.
Yeah, it's obviously, like you said, Derek James is probably, like top, in my opinion, probably top 2 trainers today. But, yeah, it's surprising because you don't ever expect these news until it happens. And, training alongside somebody like Errol Spence and, that high level that they bring. And obviously, Derek James, like you said, he's no nonsense. This guy's a true professional in his craft. I think it's the perfect move for him. I think he's going to tighten up that defense, and I don't think he's going to let Ryan, get away with things. And if he does, I mean, I see him kicking him out if he does. But yeah, it's a great move for Ryan. I know we mentioned other coaches. We mentioned going back to Eddie. We mentioned Robert Garcia, but I think this is a more balanced choice, and again, one of the best in the sport and in terms of coaching.
Yeah, and we'll get into that probably next week. We'll get into that a little more. Just go to some last comments here. We'll leave fairly quickly or in a little bit here, but we must talk about the fights in the UK that are happening on Saturday. But quickly, Valdez might get his jaw broken again, says Big Bro. Ooh, no faith in Valdez, right? And yeah, like I said, we'll discuss that Ryan decision a little more. But I do, before we get out of here, want to mention, of course, the fights that are happening on Saturday. Look, the Tony Weeks Rolly thing. Before that, I think the Rayo Valenzuela decision to me didn't sit very well. Um, I'm glad the fans gave him his props, as he was speaking and leaving that arena. Everyone was telling him that he won that fight against Colbert. Um, that decision, the Rollies, this one that seems a little controversial in the eyes of most boxing fans. Next week in the UK, man, I'm already bracing for it. These guys need to come up with something big because let me tell you this. Mauricio Lara was down on all 3 cards in that first fight against Wood, right? Got him out of there in 7. Otherwise, we don't know what would have happened. Well, we do know what was going to happen on those cards, right? But, last time coming in, both guys had a similar record, 26-2. Obviously, Lara got that big KO. That fight was in February, Chris, 3 months ago. So we're getting it right away. I'm not sure that's a good idea for Lee Wood, who last time the fight was in Nottingham in his hometown. This time is in Manchester, bigger arena and all that. The odds that I read, not sure if they have changed. Lara minus 250. Lara minus 250, but that seems about right. Crazy, even though he's fighting over there, right? But that just tells me that a lot of people believe that he can hurt Lee Wood once again. But look, Lara 19 KOs, and Lee Wood 16. So both can crack, obviously. But in the first fight, I think Lara was able to hurt him constantly, even though he was losing some of those rounds. But he was doing damage throughout the fight, in my opinion. And I think he knocks out Lee Wood again. I think he's going to have to if he wants to come back victorious.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he knows that, you don't want that fight to go to a decision. Obviously he's getting a bag. He's defending his belts in a foreign country. So he knows the politics are at hand. I think he obviously has that confidence. I knocked this guy out once. I can do it again. I have power. I have power early. I have power late. I think he just has to be wary of Lee Wood. If Lee Wood tries to box him, tries to take it to a decision, tries to move around a little bit too much, Lara has to, double down and go to the body and break him down the way he did last time. I think it's going to be a much tougher fight this time around. He might even be down on the cards again, but he just has to believe, that he is going to land those punches that will break Lee Wood down. I give Wood lots of props. He's a warrior, and I feel like this is going to be one of those fight of the year kind of fights. And man, we're getting 2 of them. So yeah, can't wait for this one.
Yeah, I think Lara's in his head at this point. That huge left hook, I'm sure that is still in Lee Wood's head. Anytime Lara touches him, I'm sure Lee Wood is going to think about that moment. So, yeah, like you said, respect to Lee Wood. He's a very good boxer, very good puncher. But I see Lara hurting him again. I think Lara just has to stay composed, not allow the fans to get to him, the referee's decisions, whatever Lee Wood is throwing at him. I think he has to remain calm, take his time, and he knows he can knock this guy out. So if I were him, I'd just remain calm and know that when you land, it's going to hurt Lee Wood. So, be patient. Don't get too crazy. But that fight is on DAZN. Should be around 2-3 p.m. Pacific time. Can't wait for that. And, of course, you got that one also on your screen. Luis Alberto Lopez, 27-2. 15 knockouts against Michael Conlon, 18-1, 9 knockouts for that IBF strap that Venado has that he obtained by beating Warrington, which is a split decision. Crazy enough, I think he won that fight fair and square. One judge didn't want to give it to him, but regardless, he's the champion. He's now going to Belfast, Northern Ireland. And Conlon, the last odds that I saw, he was slight favorite, I think, because of that, right? Because he's at home, he's taller. He has a very good amateur pedigree, bronze medalist, I believe, in 2012. And then quick tell of the tape from these two guys. Lopez, 29 years old. Conlon, 31. Lopez listed at 5'4", 5 feet 4 inches tall. Conlon listed at 5'8", so obviously he has that reach advantage. Doesn't help that he's a southpaw. And then their last loss, Venado 2019. Conlon lost in 2022, and he lost to Lee Wood, who was going to be in that other fight. Of course, he was winning that fight and ended up getting knocked out there at the end. But we'll see. He has 2 wins in a row since that loss, Mickey Conlon. So we'll see how he returns now to home and against a very good boxer like Venado Lopez, who is the champion at the moment.
Yeah, I think this one's probably the tougher of the fights for the Mexican fighter. Again, he's fighting in Conlon's backyard. You obviously know you're gonna have the backing of the crowd. You're gonna have some favoritism because of the judges. You don't want this to go to a decision if you're Venado. So you're gonna have to systematically break Conlon down and make those rounds. If you go the distance, you gotta at least make it very known that you're winning that fight. But again, like you said, Conlon, he's got that boxing, from the amateur. So he's gonna be racking up rounds. So kind of like the same with Lara, like you cannot get frustrated if you're losing rounds. Just trust in your power. We do know that Venado Lopez has one of the most awkward styles. He's taking the O's from a lot of prospects. So he's no slouch. He is a champion. He is putting his titles on the line in a foreign country. I'm hoping he's getting a bag, for you to be risking that much. I'm hoping getting this bag, and I do believe he can walk away with this titles and hopefully with some new fans, because Conlon has been knocked out before, and Venado can do it himself.
Yeah, and look, we had Canelo on the Cinco de Mayo weekend. We had this undisputed bout May 20, but crazy enough to me, and of course I'm going to be biased because we know our guy Venado Lopez, and I think we've also attached ourselves a little bit to Ronco Lara just because of the stuff that he's had to endure and go through over there in the UK. To me, I'm most excited about these 2 fights right here. Obviously, they have an advantage because it's 2 fights, right? They're probably going to go around the same time, different channels and all that, but I'm very, very excited for this one as a boxing fan. I cannot wait. It's going to be great, man, and I hope, these guys can make it 2-0, the 2 Mexican fighters. We talked a lot about that Mexico-UK rivalry that's been getting more and more intense over the years, but if these 2 men can go 2-0 in the UK, that's going to be big, not only for Mexican boxing, but I think that puts everyone on alert. You hear about these upsets. It seems like every other weekend, right? A Mexican goes over to the UK and upsets someone over there, some prospect or something. Hey, they're going to learn soon, man. Stop these matchmakers. You got to stop. Find someone else, man, because guys like Venado, guys like El Bronco, these guys don't play around. So, I hope they can come out victorious. I hope there's no controversies, but you just got to prepare for the worst, I guess, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, no, again, you can't leave it up to the powers that be. You got to go and hurt your opponent and get several knockdowns, try to knock them out. That's the name of the game. But yeah, man, just I wish I could highlight these fights to all the mainstream, fans. These are the fights that obviously they're not named fighters. They're not, the Ryan Garcias or the Canelos of the world, but you know what you're gonna get with this fight. And obviously, there's not a pay-per-view tag, attached to it. It's one of those. These fights are like seemingly free. You just get that subscription. But yeah, it's unfortunate that these kinds of fights are the ones that are not getting that love. But shout out to the UK, shout out to Ireland, that are going to be hosting these fights. The people that will tune in, they're going to get a treat, man. And again, I feel like these 2 have the potential to be fights of the year. So hopefully we get that, and hopefully the champions walk out as champions.
Yeah. So once again, DAZN, Lara versus Wood. I actually, when I bought the Canelo pay-per-view, I had this fight in mind because I'm like, hey, that fight is this month. I really want to watch the fight, so I got DAZN for the month. I need to cancel it right after the fight, but
Yeah.
that's how excited I was about this fight. I went ahead and bought the Canelo fight with this in mind, with this fight right here, and of course, that Lopez Conlon one is on ESPN Plus. So if you have ESPN Plus, you get to enjoy a great fight. I think Jack Catterall might be on the undercard of Lee Wood. It's the last time I checked that undercard. Not sure if that fight is still on, but DAZN, ESPN. We're gonna have some great action this Saturday. Once again, remember it's UK time. So if you're out here in the Pacific, to be specific, it's gonna be around probably 2-3 p.m. So yeah, tune in. Don't miss it. These two fights are big and they're championship level fights. So you got to watch those.
Got a prediction, Gio, for these two fights?
I think Lara gets a KO. Might take him. It's either gonna be real soon or real late, in my opinion. Either first few rounds or he'll suffer a little bit and get it at the end. Venado, oh man, I think he's gonna hurt. He's gonna be able to hurt Conlon. I think he's gonna make a clean win. I don't think they're gonna rob him. I think he gets a decision. I don't think he's able to stop Mickey Conlon, but I think he'll hurt him enough throughout the fight to the point where not even the judges can take it from him. That's going to be a tough one, though. That's going to be a close one. Because Conlon, he can fight in spurts. He can fight. He can box. I think he has a really good chin, even though he was stopped against Wood. I mean, both men were hitting each other with everything in that fight. And he wasn't hurt until the end. So, and he can crack, too. So, man, that fight's going to be crazy.
Yeah, for me, for Lee Wood and Lara, I think it's gonna go late. I think Lee Wood is gonna try to stick to his boxing. I think he's gonna rack up a bunch of rounds, and I think Lara's gonna have to drop him a couple of times in the end. And I don't know if he knocks him out or not. He does have the potential to knock him out, but I'm gonna say it goes the distance with a couple of knockdowns in Lara's favor, and then Lara wins a decision. On the other side, I think it's going to be a split decision. I think it's going to be closer than what you think or than what you predict. I'm hoping Canelo wins, but I feel like it's going to be. I think we might get a split decision. I don't know if we're going to see some controversy, but it's going to be split decision. And I want to say Venado, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way. But I say split decision for Venado.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I think he's going to do well, but you never know. You never know over there. Yeah. I mean. But I don't think, in his case, I think what he has going for him, I don't think Mickey Conlon is a dirty fighter. I'm not saying that Wood is, but, Wood did get away with a lot of stuff in that first fight. I don't think Mickey Conlon will resort to that type of stuff. I think he'll make it a clean fight, hopefully, but, great fights. We'll be breaking them down next week. Can't wait. And we just don't need any more controversies in boxing, man. Let's have some clean fights and some clean winners, man, whoever it is on either side. I think they're going to have to earn it.
Yeah, because if not, man, Teddy Atlas's going to come back. He's going to get a heart attack. Going to let you guys know how it feels. But, man, we're capping up a month of May. We started out with Canelo. It's been a great month of boxing, in my opinion. Obviously, some controversies, but I mean, you kind of get numb to it. You get used to it after a while. It's unfortunate, but man, we've got these two fights, and this one's again, just like last week. This is for the boxing fans, man, for the ones that really love the sport, really follow it. I think we're gonna get some two caliber fight of the year fights, man. I can't wait.
Yes, sir, and I think that's that. And tune in DAZN. That's gonna be live from Manchester, England. And that ESPN Plus card will be live from Belfast, Northern Ireland. So, like I said, we'll be back next week breaking it all down. Thank you guys for keeping that chat lit. Thank you guys for those of you who are listening to or watching the replay as well. Join us next week. We'll be back soon. And then just final thoughts on Lomachenko Haney. Crazy. I think a lot of people will give more respect to Lomachenko. Official result aside, I think a lot of people were impressed. So I think this doesn't hurt his stock.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, respect who I think is an all-time great. You know, he's done something that not too many fighters do. He didn't just go up. You know, he beat up the bigger guy in moments, and across the board, he's done that. And yeah, man, I think we're lucky to, even at 35, to have him still at such a high level. And again, I can't wait to see, you know, his last stretch, because nobody beats Father Time. You know, eventually everybody retires, but I think we have a special guy in Lomachenko, not just inside the ring, but outside the ring. Everything he had to go through with with his country. So yeah, one of the very best to ever lace him up, and can't wait to see his stretch, you know, before he retires one day. So
yeah, and to me, I think that's my biggest takeaway, just the class act that he was throughout the whole build-up.
yeah,
You know, there's constant trash talk from Team Haney, calling him dirty, the shove, the rabbit punches. He never complained, not once, even after his immediate response to the question of how he thought the fight turned out, or if he thought he won or whatnot. He said, "I'm not going to talk about that. You know, everyone saw what happened," and left it at that. Didn't complain, not once. So class act. He kept it respectful throughout, you know, the whole build up, during the fight, and after, you know. So that's, to me, that's the biggest takeaway, because it's so easy to, you know, say something in the heat of the moment, or, you know, react a certain way, you know,
yeah,
take the microphone away and talk about how you started boxing late, you know, things like that. But no, he didn't do any of that stuff and kept it classy the whole way. So big ups to him. I feel like that's how a real champion should conduct themselves. Win or lose.
amen, brother. That's why he's a legend. That's why he's a legend, man. But yeah, again, Gio, I know there's some news that broke, but well, we're gonna wait a couple of weeks and see if it's for real. But
Yeah.
breaking news in the boxing world, just like the whole Ryan Tank, well, we won't believe it until the ink dries, man. So I don't think we should even talk about it, man.
Hey, if you guys didn't want to believe the Ryan Tank fight, I'm not gonna believe this one until they're in the post fight press conference.
For real. No, but once again, we got treated to a high level boxing match, and again, it's just like you said, it's one of those fights that you can go back and watch, and it's a classic, and it had its controversy, but it also had high level boxing, and you know that's all you can that's all you can really ask for, man. Just that kind of level of fighting between two top guys.
Yeah. That's that. May still not over. We got one more, or two more actually. Two more big fights. So yeah, man, once again, thank you guys for joining us this evening. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not subbed already. Make sure to follow us against AtR, against the ropes, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Make sure to tune in to that community tab. That's where all the polls go, all the latest news, the latest updates regarding our channel or podcast and all that stuff. So yeah, man, stay tuned in. We'll be back soon. And best of luck to our guys Bronco and Venado.
Vámonos.
Hey, hopefully next week we don't say, "Come on, mate."
For real.
Hopefully none of that.
I was trying to be very field this weekend.
I'm very feel. Shout out to Sergey, who was there at the fight after I saw him. Looked like a heavyweight, but he was there.
Vámonos.
All right, mates. We'll be back soon. Peace.
You already know I said I'm a fun guy.
Hola amigos, soy Juan Francisco AtR. Quiero mandar un saludo para mis amigos de Contra las Cuerdas. Échenle muchas ganas, un abrazo, muchas bendiciones.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. You know what mine is? Let's box, bitches. It's almost fight night.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you for the support. Keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job. So thank you and best wishes.
Against the Ropes. Huge shout out to Against the Ropes. Against the Ropes.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you guys for the interview and hope to see you guys soon.
Against the Ropes, always doing the right thing.
Shout out to Against the Ropes, man. I appreciate you guys for having me, taking the time out y'all day.
Against the Ropes, #1.
Freddie Roach.
Thank you very much.